In this section, we'll be looking into how to import different files into After Effects. So let's take a look at my folder here. I have a resources folder whereby I save all my resources files in it. I have 3D sequence folder here. It stores all the rendered file from 3D software. And I have PNG sequence, which is the images I have cropped and arranged it in accordingly. I have a still image. I have Workfile for Photoshop and Illustrator. And lastly, I have an audio files. So let's take a look in our After Effects. First, we can create a folder called Resources. And then we can, by selecting this Resources folder, we can hold down Ctrl-I to import the images. So first of all, I get into my 3D sequence and I select my Scene 2. When I'm importing the sequence file, I need to select only the first image. Then make sure that all the images has the numbers layering properly. I need to tick on this sequence. If let's say you have JPEG image, then it will be JPEG sequence. Right now mine is PNG sequence. So once I click import, I'll get a sequence. This is 1920 1080 and it has 6 seconds and 11 frames. It's 25 frames per second. I can drag and drop into my timeline layer to create a composition. So I just drag this out and I create a folder called Com and I drag it underneath the Com. Now this is the full animation of it. If let's say I hold down to this toggle transparency, I know that this is actually a transparent files. Other than that, I can click onto the empty area and right click to expand this panel out, and we have this import. I can click on the files and now I can import the PNG sequence. Same as the image sequence, right now I only have 3 images. So if let's say I select the first image and I click on PNG sequence, when I import, I'll get 1 to 3, meaning that I imported 3 images and they are in sequence. I drag and drop into my resources folder in After Effects. And this is how it goes. This is also a 25 frames per second. So when I drag and drop, what happened is it only holds 3 frames because in my composition, I have 25 frames for 1 second, meaning that I have 25 slots for 1 second. Right now, I only have 3 images. So when I drag down, you will see there is only 3 frames of image in it. So now if let's say I want to expand it into longer or into 1 second, I need to change the image so that within 1 second, I have 3 images. So how can I interpret the frame rate of this image sequence? I can select the image sequence, right click, get into interpret footage, go into main, and inside the main here, there's this assume this frame rate. Right now it's 25 frames per second. If let's say I want 3 frames within 1 second, I press 3. Now let's take a look. I click OK. You see that this green area extended, which means right now I have 3 images in 1 second. So let's drag this out. So let's take a look. I just close this. So if let's say you want the animation of this baby face keep on looping, then how you can do it? You can go back to interpret footage, which is the right click, interpret footage, main, or you have a shortcut key Ctrl-Alt-G, click on it, you remain the frame rate, and all the way down to here, there is this loop. So I can loop 10 times, 20 times, any numbers that you like. Right now, I loop it 10 times, I click OK. So now take a look again. And if you take a look, it disappears. This is what I mean by when there is no solid color, meaning that it only read until here. So what you can do is you can drag all the way to the end. And right now you will get a loop animation of the baby face. You can always go back and change to 6 frames per second. That creates faster animation. And I close this, and right now I need to import still image. I hold down Ctrl I, and I go out and I import cake. You see the icon is different, and when I have a sequence there are there's number sequence over here, but when I import an image it will become something like this. So I just drag and drop, and this is my cake image. Now in After Effects we are using pixel. That's why when we are scaling it big, and even we are choosing full resolution, the quality, and we preview it full 100%, we'll see that when I scale it big, you'll see that there are pixelated. We avoid scaling it too large to avoid the pixelated. I close this. Let's import audio. So when I import audio, I can just drag and drop. You'll have a volume icons over here. So if you untick it, meaning that you can't hear it. So if there is image, it will be the eyes icon. If there is audio, there will be the sound icon. So let's expand it. You'll be able to see there is this audio level and the waveform. If let's say I play it up by pressing spacebar, you will hear this water running sound. And of course, I need to turn on my audio so that I can see the level. So there's this audio playing around. Sometimes we need to import human sound into it. We want to listen to the words of it. You can hold down Ctrl and drag the timeline indicator bit by bit. If let's say without holding the Ctrl, you can't listen anything. If let's say we want to increase the volume of the audio or decrease it or making it silence, we go Effect and Presets. At the audio here, we can get down and go to Stereo Mixer. And we just hold down our right click and we just hold it down and drag all the way to the layers and release. And this tab will jump into the Effect control. If you no longer can see the project tab, you can always go to this arrow, click, and you select the project. And the effect control is just beside the project tab. Now you have this left level, left pan, and right pan. So left pan is actually on the left hand side, whereby right pan is on the right hand side of the audio. So there's this toolbar over here. One is left, another one is right. So right now I have levels from here, and the levels, if let's say I want to increase higher, I can go up to 200 from the left panel. And when I play, you can see that the banner here will go higher compared to the right side. So you can always keyframe whenever there is stopwatch, you can keyframe. If let's say I want it to start from silence, maybe over here, I keyframe it. I put 0% and I put 0%. And when I drag all the way to 1 second, I change to 100% and 100%. So you see the wave, it will go from the tip here until 100%, raising up. So it started with around touching at the bottom line. Volume. So this is how we play around with wave. Now let's take a look on importing work files. So if let's say you see the Photoshop files, I have my elements saved in different layers and named properly. So when I import in After Effects, it will show as same as the Photoshop files. Let's select resources and I hold down Ctrl I to import. I select on the elements. I no longer choose the sequence because I don't need them to be in animation. So I go to the footage and I need to make sure that when I choose composition, it should be retained layer size, meaning that it will read the layer size rather than the whole document size. So I choose this and I tick on the create composition. By all means, when I import into After Effects, the position of the layers are arranged properly and it automatically creates a composition for us. So let's import. And it will pop up and ask me that whether we want the layer style to be editable. Yes, because we don't want to merge everything into one layer. So, okay. And right now you see that we have a composition over here and we have the layers over here. If let's say I double click on the composition, the arrangement are same as what we have in Photoshop. If let's say you have designed a style frame in Photoshop, you can just import and create a composition and you can start doing your animation inside the composition. Normally, when I import my resources, I won't use the composition for animation at all. I will select the composition, I will hold down Ctrl D and I drag the duplicated composition to my comp and I start working at the composition over here, and I will keep this clean in case if I misplace or I accidentally deleted stuff, I can always go back to my original resources composition to get the layers that I want. Let's take a look at my Illustrator file. If I double click on my Illustrator file and I have one layer, this is how we normally create our Illustrator files. So what I need to do is I need to expand down and I see that all these are the layers within my main layers. So what I need to do is I select the layer and I go into this hamburger menu and I go all the way down to release to layers. Click, you see that all of the components turn into the layers. Click from the first one, I hold down Shift and click at the last layer. Hold down left click and drag all the way up and I release everything to the layers. I deleted this and I need to rename them properly. So I have my name all named properly and right now I save it. And I go to my After Effects at the resources here. I hold down Ctrl I again to import my scene tree. So at scene tree here, same, we go to retain layer size and create compositions. So when I import, I have my scene tree and the resources layer. So if I double click my scene tree, I'll be able to see everything is arranged properly following what we have in our Illustrator files. So right now I can animate them one by one. Now, if you take a look at this, just now when I import, I retain the layer size, meaning that I have my layer just at here. So my anchor point is in the center of the layers. What if I import right now? I just enter and rename it retain layer. And this one, I rename it properly, retain layer. And I go to my resources, Ctrl I to import again. And right now I choose composition. So once I import, now I have composition and with the layers, when I double click the scene tree, what happens is if let's say I click any layers of it, you can see that the anchor point is always at the center and right now it follows the size of the document. So for this, it's very hard for us to animate. So let's delete this. And if let's say I import footage and create comp, and it will ask me whether am I really want to import a footage or a composition. And yes, I need to merge it. So if like this, you will only get one AI files like this. So this is the difference between importing footage, composition that is retained layered, and compositions into After Effects. Let's take a look at the Photoshop files and the Illustrator files. Now, if let's say Photoshop files, if I go and scale it big, you'll see that even if I am in 100% viewing and I go full quality, this is what I get, it's pixelated. But if let's say I'm in my Illustrator files, let's select one of the leaf over here and I just zoom it in so that it hits 100%. And this is full as well. And I scale it big, you see that it's right now pixelated. But if let's say you are importing vector, you can always turn on this continuously rasterize icon just for this layer to view the vector data. So once we turn it on, right now it can read its vector data, and you'll see that no matter how huge you scale it, it won't get pixelated. So this is the difference between images and Photoshop files with the vectors files that we have. If let's say you want to change the color of the background or the text or anything in this composition, you can always go back to your Illustrator file without touching the naming of the layers and the layers. You can click on the background here. If let's say I want to change the color to maybe blue, slightly bluish, and I click OK. And this one, maybe I change it to darker blue, and I just save it. Now I go into my AE, and it will kind of update over here. Same goes to Photoshop files. You can always change the colors in Photoshop files, and it will automatically update in your AE. This is all about importing image sequence, still image, work file from Photoshop or Illustrator, and importing audio.